and welcome to Power Poppy. I'm Allison Cope and today I'm your hostess for Inspire Me Monday. Today we are going to do a little bit of experimenting with our fabulous coordinating dies. For Power Poppy, we actually have 4 stamp sets which have coordinating dies, which you can find in the Power Poppy shop. We have dies for Loving Tulips, Natural Beauties, Succulent Singles, and Peony Muse. And this is the set that we're going to use today. Let's get started. And for today's card, I'm going to use our Score Bunny. And I have a 8.5 by 11 piece of heavy duty white cardstock. And this fabulous tool has some great markings to help you with your cards. In order to make this a trifold card, you need to score your card twice to make it into thirds, and this Score Buddy actually has this configuration already figured out. See this little dark arrow here? That is 1/3 of 11 inches, which is 3 3/6. And all you have to do is turn your card around, square that twice. I'm just going to give my sides a little crease, turn that around, crease the other side, and it will give you the perfect fold every time. Because when paper folds, it has to be slightly inside the joint, and Score Pal has already done that math for you, so this folds up like a beauty. So I have my big shot all ready here. We're going to use the coordinating dies for the Peony Muse. I've got our card base, and you have to figure out which side you would like to go on top and which side to go in the center. So I'm going to use this as the top. And I have brand new plates on just for you guys, because my other plates were giving me all kinds of texture. So then you get to decide where you would like to put your bloom. And it can be any orientation. You can spin it around, and you can use whichever bloom. I'm going to use the large peony. That looks good to me. I just have a little piece of Post-it note paper. I'm going to sandwich it into my machine. Voila! I'm going to just peel off my Post-it note tape. Sometimes this stuff is actually stickier than I wish it was, but so be careful. And there you go, you have your die cut. So you need both parts, so save this. And we're going to go on to creating the inside flap of our card next. The next step in the process is just to actually help with creating the inside. I'm actually going to close up the front of my card, and I'm going to take a pencil and just trace that opening onto the inside flap. This is just going to make your life a lot easier. You're just going to kind of show you where you need to stamp the next aspect. Okay. So I'm just going to flatten this out a little bit. Here we go. And we're going to pull in the leaves from our Peony Muse set. And we need, for my card, I'm going to use a Copic Safe ink, and I'm going to use my favorite things, black licorice ink. And this is where you get to kind of design whatever kind of tickles your fancy. So I'm going to start with the triple leaf here. Make sure it's nice and inky. This is probably a good idea to get out your stamp positioning tool, but I'm going to cross my fingers and hope this works for me today. And knowing just the way my bloom is sitting there, I'm going to put my triplicate leaves here, making sure I get a good impression. I'm going to press my stamp down. Now, I'm not worried about overlapping where our lines are. That's okay, because naturally the leaves are going to be underneath the bloom anyway. Our bloom is going to sit on top, so nothing to worry about as far as overlapping that outline. I'm going to take our double leaf, and let's see, maybe I will put them down here. Once again, pressing for good image, and then we have a single leaf as well. I'm going to erase my pencil line because we're going to add some ink, and I don't want to trap that pencil line underneath the next step. So just using a good weight eraser, hoping that my ink is nice and dry. And now I'm going to pull out my Copic air compressor, and it's already plugged in and on, and we are going to use kind of a light teal. I'm just going to pull a scrap piece of paper out here. I'm going to test it out first. You can hear my compressor coming on. Nice light teal. And I'm going to go kind of in a halo around where that opening was. Got it is just close up the card, and I've got enough coverage there that when I put my image on, it's going to just be around the edge, and that's great. Right, so I'm going to color these up, and then we'll go on to the next stage. I'm going to just fast forward through this part, and I'll see you in a minute. Base is all finished. It was really quick coloring because I didn't want anything like super fussy. These kind of cards I was going for quick, easy, ready to go. So super easy leaves. Let's go on to decorating the front. Okay, now it's time to stamp our image on our cardstock piece. I've got our big bloom already placed in my mini MISTI on the lid. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up this stamp really lightly. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just need all of the edges to be shown. And I've just got a piece of paper down there in my MISTI. That'll work. Okay, then I've got this scrap piece of paper that I cut out the same die cut. And this is going to help me position my stamp evenly within that die cut edges. So find your sweet spot. That looks pretty good. I am going to put a tiny bit of tape just to help secure that, and of course it has moved. Just going to take some of the sticky off of it. I'm going to have to reposition that. That's okay. That's how quickly this can be done. All right. There we go. Taking our cardstock piece, dropping it into that void, pressing it into the tape so it holds on position. Go back to our stamp with our Copic Safe ink, inking up our image liberally with our ink. Drop and press. Got a squeaky desk today. Ooh, I'm going to go in one more time, just to make sure that our image is nice and crisp and dark. And that's the beauty of this stamp positioning tool. And because our stamps are beautifully detailed, this is a great asset to have in your toolkit here. There we go. Our image is all ready to color. So let's go and do that. Okay, I've got my Copics ready, and we're going to do some really quick and easy coloring. I'm going to speed this up, and then we'll finish off our card. she is. She's all ready to go. Let's go to our card front. So the goal is to place our die cut here, and it's just going to slip inside its opening. But before we do that, and before we add layers, we need to think about sentiments and if there's any other decoration that we want to add. So I'm going to put a couple of sentiments. We're going to put one on the front and one on the inside flap. So let's do that before we add anything and adhere this down, because I'm going to pop this up with a little dimension. I've got just a tiny little hey there stamp from, which one is this? From our Pure Prairie Spirit. It says hey there. We're going to use the same black ink. We're just going to ink that up really well. It's just a tiny little baby little stamp. It's so cute. So we're going to add it there. I'm going to ink this up one more time. Clear, there we go. So we've got one on the outside. Now let's do the inner panel. So I happen to have my regular sized Misty here. And it has another sentiment from the same stamp set. We're just going to pop our card open and in, and I'm just gonna position our stamp here. It says, wishing you a brilliant day, from the same sentiment stamp. Pick it up. And this time I'm going to use my VersaFine. I really like using this for sentiments because it's crisp. And before we go and adhere everything down, I'm going to grab a stencil and we're just going to do a little tiny bit of inking using a stencil. Alright, so I've temporarily tacked down my card, just saves it from opening up. I've just got a piece of scrap paper that we're going to use to mask off the inside. We don't want any spray back here. And we're going to just tack down our stencil here. I want to make sure things are kind of lined up. This one's a nice pattern because it has lots of straight lines to help you line things up. And I'm going to use my Post-it note tape to kind of hold things down. Now I'm not going to go extra heavy duty on ink here. We're just going to give a subtle pattern. So we're going to bring in the same color that we used to do our spray pattern. And Copic airbrush, test it out. And then we're just going to do super, super subtle. I think we'll just do a little bit in that, and maybe just a hint of it over in this corner. And I think we'll call it done. Told you it was going to be simple. So I'm going to take off our tape. And see, that was just a hint of pattern. Peel off our Post-it tape very carefully. And we're going to bring back our bloom. I've got my ginormous roll of foam mounting tape. And we're going to cover the back of this with our foam mounting tape. So did I get it lucky and get it? Nope, I'm going to have to trim it. That's alright. One more piece. There we go. Alright, I'm going to bring this fella back in. I'm going to close it nice and tight. We're going to take the backing paper off of our foam tape. Like such. And then you're going to basically fit this shape back into that void. Like that. And the nice thing about this is it kind of holds itself closed, which is great. And our finished card, Hey there, wishing you a brilliant day. So I hope you too get a chance to try this out. Try our amazing coordinating dies. They cut like butter. And get stamping and creating. Thanks again. Have a great day, guys.